Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another regularly scheduled meeting of the Public Safety and Transportation Committee. Today is Wednesday, April 8th, 2026, and we're in room 205 in City Hall. Please note this meeting is being both audio and video recorded. I am the chair, Councilor Tariq Lucas, Ward 2. With me from the committee in the conference room are Councilors Randy Block, Maria Greenberg, Sean Roach, Jacob Silver, Julie Irish, all on the committee. Councilor Larry, not on the committee, but always welcome, Ward 1. And joining on Zoom is Councilor Pam Wright, Ward 3. City staff, we have Captain Devine of the Police Department and Danielle Delaney from the Clerk's Office. Okay, we have two items on our agenda tonight, both involve parking, sort of. The first item is 98-26, Councilor Leary requesting a discussion on improving compliance for violations on street sweeping regulations in Nonantum. Councilor Leary is going to introduce the item, and then we're going to go to Captain Devine, and then we'll bring it into committee for comments and questions. Councilor Leary, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So a number of residents in Nonantum have requested that we have this discussion. This was actually a pilot and put in place due to the difficulty of getting the streets swept in many of the neighborhoods of Nonantum due to parking blocking up. So basically the street sweepers would just go down the middle of the street. It didn't really do anything. We also are required by our NIFTY's permit to remove phosphorus. So this also kind of was a barrier to our stormwater goals and our NIFTY's goals. So we've implemented a pilot about 3 years ago. We started this, and it's been, I think everyone would say, it's been pretty successful for the most part, especially in the beginning. We had public facilities, DPW also put up sandwich boards the second Tuesday of the month, and to remind people. But over the last year or so, we've noticed more people are not moving their cars. And so it's been, we're not getting people to comply with the rules about this, the signage, which has been up for 3 years. So we had a discussion with the neighborhood about this, and we wanted to talk about increasing the fines to ensure more compliance. And people were also interested in learning more about the possibility of towing. However, I personally feel that we should certainly start by increasing the fines rather than going right to the head. That has its own issues, and I think Captain Devine can talk about that. So it's been in place for 3 years so far, and we'd like to see a more effective program. And I think that is both public and more education, but I think increasing the fines to get people to comply would also be very helpful. So.
Okay, thank you. Captain Devine, do you have anything you would like to add to the street sweeping?
No, it's just like the counselor said, it's a relatively new program. It's a pilot type of program. There's only one area in the whole city we do it, and it's just in that area. It encompasses what Allison Street, Beach Street, Cook Street, Dalby Street, Faxon Street, Green Street from Cook to Pearl, Jasset Street, Kennedy Circle, Los Angeles Street, and Middle Street. It is a $25 fine for restricted area. We can't get you the exact number of tickets we write just because it falls under restricted areas. So we don't know if it's street sweeping or if it's any other type of restricted areas, which is why we can't give you accurate numbers on the number of tickets. I did talk to a PCO. Every week we assign 1306 is assigned to that area. They know the second Tuesday of the month to go out and ticket. She says that she has no problem getting tickets down there. She goes down there every week and she does her job. So we definitely have someone assigned. They're aware of it. I would say the problem is it's once you have it once a month, you have the regular John and Joe citizen who just parked and they just seem to forget, to be honest with you, that Tuesday. The PCO also told me that she gets higher numbers in the spring like we have now because that's when all-night parking is lifted. So obviously a month ago, people would have their cars moved before that Tuesday and wouldn't put it there. Now with the all-night parking lifted, that morning when it's supposed to move the car, it's still there because there's no overnight parking restrictions. So she says she gets more numbers now than she does during the winter months.
All right, thank you, Captain. Yeah, okay, Council Greenberg, I know I have a few questions, but go ahead.
Thank you, Captain. I'm just wondering how difficult would it be to have the ticket specify exactly what the offense is? Is that easy to do? Is that an easy change to just from restricted area to parking during street sweeping?
Well, we just ordered about $4,000 worth of new books because the other books, if you remember, a few months ago we raised the fares or the fines on a handful of tickets. So we just ordered probably about another 4,000 worth of books. So we'd have to order more books to do it. We'd have to separate it too. Instead of have a restricted area, it might be like code number 39 that says street sweeping. But if we spend all that money, make all the changes, it's still, I don't think it's going to change the problem that we're dealing with here is that I guess it seems to be not a high enough compliance with the concerns raised. So
The ticket books.
You guys, they still do that paper? Really?
well, the piece. Let me correct that. The PCOs, they have a handheld machine. So there's 10 PCOs, parking control officers, PCOs for short. Each one of them get the handheld machines. We just ordered. I should correct it. The officers themselves, so the 140 of us, depending on the number, all issued the books. So we'd have to change that through the books. But it's like on any given Tuesday when it happens, the second Tuesday of the month, it is only a PCO that goes down there. And she tells me she has more than enough time to get all those streets done and to ticket whatever we need to do.
May I continue? And would it be possible to consider towing as a fine for parking there?
I'm against it just because the violation we have here is not really a harmful violation where it puts people's lives in jeopardy, like parking somewhere where it causes like increase of crashes. This is just a consideration type of thing where we want cars moved so the streets can look nicer. So I'm hesitant against towing any cars that are under this violation.
Okay. And what would the process be to increase the fine from $25 to say $50?
I guess it just goes before either you guys would know better than me, either this council or the finance committee, and to raise the fines again. And we just raised the fines on I don't know how many did we do, Council Lucas, last 2 months ago?
Quite a few.
So we just made the adjustment too.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly how many fines we raised. I think this issue will come up with our next docket item, but
we would have to file a new document.
yeah, we would need it would go to finance and it would go to PS&T.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we did last year.
And then there are some neighboring streets that would like to join the pilot, like West. Yeah. So would that be another traffic council item?
Yeah, that's all in your court there with you guys deciding on who wants to be incorporated. We just basically enforce it. What we can also do from a police perspective is education, maybe just a reminder every month on our website or our Facebook page, just letting people know to remind them when the marathon's done. I have a few signboards. I could put a signboard in the area saying, hey, don't forget the second Tuesday of the month is the street sweeping. So we can advertise. I think what happens is you just have it. This is once a month. So a lot of people just don't remember it, like that second Tuesday about it.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Who else has their hand? Oh, Councilor Wright, you're on Zoom. Go ahead.
Give me a minute. I'm going to be in the room.
In the room.
Councilor Wright, I was going the conference room.
Okay.
Just about that.
Yes. Okay. So, well, first off, White Street, the only one. I mean, 1 month. Instead of twice. Boston does twice a month. And the other thing is, so I have properties in Boston and street cleaning. You learn once when your car gets towed what days it is. And are there signs on the street that says first Tuesday of the month, street cleaning,
Second Tuesday.
or second, whatever.
Well,
it is.
this time it was the first Tuesday by mistake.
So,
Government size.
I mean, if you want compliance, towing is the way to go. But you could do something like first 2 months of street cleaning, first 2 months, just tickets. And then, come summer or whatever, start the towing.
Well, we just heard from Captain Devine that he wouldn't be in favor of towing. He thinks it's rather drastic under the circumstances. And I do believe that the first step should be increasing the fine and improve education to get compliance.
Yeah, I do think I need increasing the fine. In Boston, they line up the tow trucks.
Cambridge stopped towing.
Oh, really?
Did they really?
Yes, but
Can I add one more thing regarding the tow?
Yeah.
Remember, this is a $25 fine. So hypothetically, if we did start towing, I think the tow rate, and don't hold me to this, is roughly a little bit over $100 with like a $35 start. So now a $25 fine for the street sweeping basically turns this into like a $170 fine for this person or people. And then if we do decide to tow, the second issue that raises, like, even during a snow emergency, we don't tow many cars during a snow emergency. We just tow the ones that cause a significant problem to what we're doing. Just because the tow company, just hypothetically, if we go out to tow next Tuesday, I don't know if Dave can handle X amount of cars, and I mean, Toadies can handle that many cars in that lot, which is why another reason we frown upon the towing aspect of it. Just food for thought.
But increasing, I definitely would like to see an increase in fines. I think that's important.
All set?
Yep.
Councilor Roach.
A few things. No offense, Officer Devine, it's a little bit more than just kind of an aesthetic thing, given the phosphorus in the leaves. It is actually a environmental issue, and I would be in favor of raising the fines. I also think probably part of the problem is that we talk about Boston, we talk about Cambridge, Somerville, but this relatively small part of Newton, and so it's not kind of as well known. Obviously, in New York City, there's alternate street parking across the city. So possibly one of the things that would make it more successful is expanding the scope of it, and then having kind of a larger awareness of street cleaning. But I'd be in favor of the higher fines. I'd be in favor of towing, but I'd also be in favor of expansion.
Okay. I do have a question, just because I've seen the street sweeping vehicles not in Nonantum. I've seen them in Newtonville on Cabot Street and Walker Street. I assume those were street sweeping vehicles. Is it just Nonantum, or do they go into other?
They go everywhere.
So then I'm sorry, I'm a bit confused. So the pilot program is for what then?
So, because in the more congested parts of the city,
Yeah.
the sweepers can't do an effective job because there's always parked cars.
Yeah.
Like, on my street, for example, there's parts of the street that never get done unless by happenstance someone's car decides to move their car.
Yeah.
So we don't have a really good framework for doing street sweeping at all. We could talk about that with Juanita on a citywide basis in the congested areas about what we should be doing. But we also we don't get a lot of phosphorus reduction from street sweeping. And we could talk to Juanita about that. It's not a huge amount. It's like out of 1,000 pounds we need to remove, it's like 50 pounds a year. So that's, but it's just in the congested parts of the city, it's just very difficult to do any kind of effective job. And also it does remove the leaves and helps with other things too, besides the phosphorus. And we've generally been going with what residents would like West Street has asked to join, so we could expand it. And generally speaking, it has been driven by residents who want on their street rather than us going in and saying we're going to do this.
Yeah.
So that's sort of how it's worked. And if we want to do more education about it, there might be other parts of the city where this would be appropriate. Parts of Auburndale, Lower Falls, Upper Falls, West Virginia, West Newton, not West Virginia, and parts of Newton Corner could be appropriate for it. But this has really been resident driven. And so that's how it sort of came about, along with our phosphorus. I'm very involved in the stormwater stuff too. So that was, I thought it was a very good idea to do it. So I'm all for expansion, but I think if we want to do that, we should talk to the residents to see how they feel about it and give them the pros and cons.
All right, so just, the pilot or, what's going on, the Nixon.
Permanent.
Okay, so it's just the tolling of cars.
No,
No,
Ticketing.
it was,
it's just ticketing.
it was.
I'm sorry, ticketing, sorry. Yeah.
It was a certain number of streets.
Yeah.
That would have permanent signs up. No other part of the city has
Oh.
signs that say street sweeping
Oh.
second Tuesday of the month.
Okay.
No parking.
Yeah,
No
so
parking for
Yeah, yeah.
certain, it's the only area of the
Oh.
city that has those signs. That's why this is.
Okay,
it has to go through.
Okay.
all right, so I had a bunch of people just raised their hands. I know, Counselor Leary, you raised your hand again, but I asked you a question. Did you get everything that you wanted to say?
Yeah, I think I got everything.
So we're gonna go Counselor Block, Roach, Wright. Block, Wright, Roach. In that order.
I was a little confused, and I'm a little bit more confused about whether this is a pilot or what's permanent and what's the trial. It is.
It's permanent, yeah.
Okay, so
It's a pilot for the whole city.
is someone in charge of this pilot? Who's monitoring this?
I would say the community.
Well, okay, so
Take the village, right?
there's no city department, there's no city employee who's responsible for collecting data or monitoring how it works, or, something like that.
If I may, I mean, it's sort of, so in terms of enforcement, it's the police department.
Yeah.
And regarding stormwater, it's Juanita. And DPW is involved in the actual street cleaning. Juanita manages all the sweepers now too. But I would say that the community and the Ward 1 councilors are sort of managing it.
So is the director of streets in charge of the street sweeping? Does it come under that?
I
sort
think
of-
the director of streets, I don't think he's specifically doing the sweeping of the street sweeping machines. I think that's under Juanita. I'm not sure exactly what their relationship is though, but that's my understanding is the street sweeping is under Juanita because it's related to the stormwater issues. Yeah.
So, so is the issue that there's just the compliance is worsening? Is that why we're talking about it now?
Yes.
That's sort of what's happening. And we think that compliance is worsening because,
Well, we think the fines now are $25 that are not.
well, yeah, but it's been $25 for a long time.
Yeah, but things have gotten a lot more expensive. $25 doesn't mean as much anymore.
Okay, well, that's a theory. But is there anything else that we think is causing reduced compliance?
We could always improve our outreach and education. We do the sandwich boards most of the time. They missing.
Well, they have the signs up there permanent.
Yeah,
signs.
yeah, but
But I mean, the streets, the additional sandwich signs go on the corner so people can see that. It's like, when you're gonna vote, they put them out.
sure. So is that still being done, the sandwich board?
Yes.
When there is a street sweeping week coming up?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
So, Terry,
Yeah.
this one coming up?
Sometimes now this when it's the other way. But
Okay.
like at end of the street,
Yeah.
at the end of the street, the sandwich board is there and the cars still parked, even though they don't.
And so,
Yeah.
so what do you think the residents want? They want a higher bond, they want a
Yeah.
higher ticket price,
Yes.
$50? I think that's $100, or what
They
do
want higher
they?
compliance.
What,
It's us, it's for us to say how we get that, right?
I'm sorry?
They want higher compliance.
Well, yes, well, I was asking, and the tools that we have in order to improve compliance, one that we've talked about is the ticketing. Being stricter with the ticketing, although it sounds like we do ticket now.
Yeah, because-
Yes,
The ticket's pretty consistent, but that made me think that it wouldn't be a bad idea to put a little pamphlet about why the street sweeping is important along with the ticket.
after public education,
A little bit of education, that's something that maybe we could ask the traffic enforcement officers to do while they do it. If you just slip something under the windshield about why we do, there's something, we could think more creatively
it,
about.
it feels like this begs for somebody to be in charge. It's a little project here and an ongoing responsibility, like where in our city organization chart does this land? And whoever's in charge of that office, is who we would look to follow through on ideas like this or collect more data. It just feels very amorphous. That's why I'm asking.
How long you lived in the city?
Oh, a while.
I mean, I would agree with you. It's sort of like because different parts of this are under different
Yeah,
departments.
yes, I get that. It still feels like we can have different entities in the city, the police doing this and the street sweepers doing that, but that it should all come together on one person's desk, whoever that should be. And I don't think it should be your desk, but you don't have a desk. Well, we all have a desk, but you don't have a regular office desk.
I would say that this isn't the only situation where we have multiple departments coordinating together on an item. And I think generally it has been working fairly well. It's just that I think the fines are too low now and that people just don't care as much anymore about it.
Okay.
But I see what you're saying, but I feel like there's a lot of that in the city. There's where people take on parts of a item, like traffic council has to go through traffic council, the police do the enforcement.
Yeah.
DPW does, and Juanita is really the one who supervises the sweepers.
Yes, and my guess is I would have a similar comment for other circumstances that are like that. That those other examples, whatever they are not in front of us. It's this one that's taking up our attention here. Okay, I'm done.
All right, we're gonna go to Captain Devine, who raised his hand, and then we're gonna go to, I think Silver and Irish haven't spoken yet. We're gonna go to them, and then we'll go to Roach, White, then Roach. Captain Devine.
I just wanted to comment, this is not something I guess we need someone in charge of. I mean, every week or every month, that second Tuesday, someone goes out and does it. It's always done from the policing end. The PCO tells me they like to do it because it makes their job easier for the day because they know to get their tickets and for the day, there's no pressure there. So I don't think there's any supervision needed. I think what we need here is somehow to have people reminded to be courteous to their neighbors. I think this is what the issue is.
Okay. What did I just say? Silver.
Yeah,
Irish.
so I mean, this is an idea I've had for a few months, which is that generally speaking, we don't really have a good way to communicate things to constituents based on where they're located. But we have recycle, right? So every time you get a notification the night before and it says, oh, you got to put out your trash.
Recycle right now. I was impressed that you have it.
Yes. So the reason I bring this up, is two reasons. First of all, the system that's under it, which is called GoGov, can be expanded really for any department to send out any notification. I know it's too much to take on in this meeting. But the second part is that Recycle Right is under DPW and will notify you on a street. Now, getting people to download Recycle Right in order for them to know it's not hard, probably going to be a heavy lift. But I do think starting to think through how we can implement a notification system for the city, especially if we're starting to talk about parking things, could be really helpful. So that was number one. I'm gonna go above John Morris more about looking at GoGov further to expand that. The second, I just had a quick question, which is how do we generally speaking pick an area to ticket, or how does that happen? This is probably Captain Devine.
I'm not sure what you mean by the question. Like, what's the question you mean?
Well, how does an area get chosen for ticketing? I mean, how does that? the school areas. I'm thinking about Newton South specifically because we have a lot of parking. We have parking issues that are sort of ongoing there.
Mhm.
Complaint driven, yeah.
I mean, I don't get any complaints about this per se. I know the councils get it because obviously we're here for a reason. As for my offices, we don't get the complaints for this issue. We just know that these 10 so streets, they go there as the second Tuesday of the month, and that's the only area in the whole city that has it. And we're definitely covering our end on getting it done.
But would you be the right person? Like if I had a constituent said, this illegal parking is driving me nuts, it would be to your department.
Yeah, if I get daily calls, believe me, on random parking issues. And if someone says there's a parking issue, we'll send a PCO down there without a doubt. We respond to everything immediately. If someone called and said next Tuesday morning there's 5 cars parked on whatever street for snow sweep, it means the street sweeping, we'll send someone down there and ticket. So we're always responsible and handle that no matter what part of the city you're in.
That's great. Thank you. That's very helpful.
Councilor Irish, you had your hand up?
Couple questions. Well, first of all, I think the idea of raising fines is, I agree with that, but that is part of improving compliance. Also on education, part of that, do we know who's parking on the street? Are they residents or is it an area where it's, customers, relatives, workers? Do we have a sense of who's?
Well, I actually did ask Terry in the community about that. There are mostly is residents, but there is Advanced Auto parks a lot at the top, especially at the top of Cook Street.
Yeah.
But it's mostly residents, maybe a guest sometimes. But it, generally speaking, is people that live there on the street or nearby.
Because that would be around, you're going to be educating, first of all, who's the target audience, it would make sense if it's residents, easier to educate them than if it was, customers or visitors. So if we knew it was residents, it makes sense to educate. And I like the idea of putting a pamphlet, but you have to do all sorts of education, right? A pamphlet. If you're going to increase the fees, let people know about that. Let them know there might be an app that you need to learn about where they'd be notified. So it's probably a way to educate them on multiple different venues or different paths. But I think education is part of it, reminders, And another question is, when are the sandwich boards put up? Are they put up the day before, the week before, the day of?
They put up the
Usually the weekend, usually on Friday. That they are definitely on Mondays.
so the day before.
The day
Yeah,
before.
yeah, at least.
Okay, so it seems like an appropriate time.
Yeah.
Place so yeah, I was just thinking in terms of the education, person getting out.
Education, we have a lot of people that don't speak English,
Oh.
but they put it in different languages.
So that's
Like
really
Spanish, you have others too?
Yeah, especially down the end of the street.
so and education the first way, and then probably then let them know the fines will be increasing. I would see that as the two step.
Yes, that's we have to plan for that. If this committee decides to recommend increasing the funds.
Okay, also, I just want to point out that you said it's the second Tuesday of the month,
Yes.
so that would be next Tuesday, April 14th. So
It already got swept. There was a mix up because of the 31 days in March. They swept on Monday and then they came in and took Tuesday. It was just it was just a mistake.
All right.
I think it was just a one-off.
Okay, well, I guess May will be May 12th. All right, that'll be a good one to keep our eyes open for. Right.
So one thing I would suggest, how many streets are there? 10? Okay, so I know Councilor Maliki and I, when things are happening more, we go door knocking, or you could leaflet.
Yeah.
Everyone, and then maybe if you have a place on the website for Spanish or Chinese, a link or whatever, they could go and see it in there. And you can put all that information in there, about it. The purpose of this, what the fines are, things like that, what days are they, times, whatever. Can the mayor send out a reverse 911 for a certain area, which I think he can? Because that's another way. I mean, you have to sign up for that app, which I didn't even know it was there, and I should know versus other people. But I think more people would get to mayor's notice saying, you know, the day before, you know, street sweeping, do not park on the streets or whatever, during these, you know, this day. And I think that would be even more helpful than, because someone's more in tune with what's happening if they're updating that versus just getting a phone call because they don't know about it. The other thing is, I believe with leaf blowers, we have an increase of fines for how many times they get fined. So, I mean, that's another thing to do. You know, the first time they get fined, it's $50. The second time is 75. The third one for 100.
They can't track.
And they don't have.
So how do they know with leaf blowing? I think there's
It's different.
It's a different,
It's a different.
Different mechanism.
yeah.
To the
it's,
mayor's
um,
office and stuff.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
I still think they're capable of doing it. Yeah.
They have a handheld. device.
Hold on, folks, Captain Devine had raised his hand, he could address that.
Yeah, those handheld machines that the PCOs use would not be able to track, like if that's vehicle's second offense to this violation. We don't have that capability. The only thing the PCOs have a capability, as we call a tow and hold, is when a car owes more than like 8 tickets over a certain amount of fine, and it becomes a tow and hold, and then we tow the car. But other than that, we would not be able to track if it's the third violation of a street sweeping. Just to let you know, it's just not in the mechanism for the machines.
So if you can program the machines to know to tow and hold, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to program it.
That's also from City Hall's perspective. I think I forget is 7 tickets at over 250. I don't, but also too, you're going back to the issue. It's restricted area. There's no specific violation on these ticket books that says street sweeping right now either. We'd have to create a whole new thing. Is it possible? We could certainly check it to IPS for that. But right now, the only thing we could track is a tow and hold when it hits a certain amount.
Okay, I think it is a solvable problem. So,
Okay.
yeah.
If and when we have a docket item that's about increasing fines, although the docket item that's before us that says including increasing fines and considering towing violators. It's the including increasing fines. Perhaps we could do it with this docket item, certainly not tonight, but just wanted to point that out. Councilor Roach.
So back to my point about making this more citywide, it occurs to me that even on my street, which is not terribly congested with parking, although it's not parked, there are frequently cars, including my own, that are avoided, and it would be nice if we even knew what the schedule was. And I think part of what happens with these signs is that it tells you this is what the schedule is, notwithstanding the app. And so I think a broader, it doesn't need to just solve the problem of the streets that just don't get adequate street cleaning. It could be those that get less than perfect street cleaning. So I think it would be great to just spread this as quickly as possible to as much of the city as possible, notwithstanding, the cost, obviously, of signs.
Okay. To put it citywide, does that have to go, forgive me, to traffic council again? All right, were the Ward 1 councilors the ones who docketed that? Okay, so you would presumably follow up with that with David Kosis?
I can.
For the whole city, yeah. But I don't know about the whole city, and I think that's a larger of the conversation, actually.
And are you talking about having fines like this? Because now you're gonna have, I think, and something we have to talk about, visual clutter too, with all the additional signs and costs. I mean, it might be more focused, like my street. People are parked up to my house every day on Monday through Friday, workers in West Newton, and that is never empty when the street cleaners come through. That would be, a targeted area versus some of these other streets or something.
So I think that that's fair. The concern is that, if you have every street having to go to traffic council to get the signs because they can make their case, this gets back into the bane of traffic council, which is you have to pitch to get, stuff done. Maybe we could delegate that to somebody, perhaps House of Blocks, czar of street cleaning.
Streets.
Street sweeping, but in all seriousness, delegate it to somebody so that then there's a less burdensome process to be added to the map. I think that would be a fair change to what I proposed. Friendly amendment.
Silver.
Just a quick comment, which is that, part of the problem with Recycle Right is that it has one use, which is knowing to put out your recycling, which most people know. I think, one of the reasons that I like the idea of spending more time on this is that there's a lot of notifications people would like, but nobody's going to download an app necessarily. I guess I did, just for recycling, but you also know it's going to give you 5 other things. That starts to increase, I think, the probability that it's something everyone would want.
Yeah. Interesting to know how many people in Newton have signed up to recycle. I think Juanita would know that.
You just doubled right here.
The larger problem is that Newton doesn't have a centralized CRM, and all of the apps that we use have a customer relationship management. And so what you do with a CRM is you have you have all of the residents or interested parties in it, and they can subscribe to 2 different notifications and alerts.
Yeah.
You can get them through the recycling app, you can get them through 311, you can get them, and there are a lot of things that do a little of it, but we don't have it centralized into
I want to correct it. 311 is what uses GoGov, not Recycle Right. So 311 system is use GoGov, which is a CRM.
Yeah.
Recycle Right, I don't know.
In any case,
Yeah.
one of the
But
things we need to do, and maybe it's part of the website, even though it's not really the website, is encourage the administration to say, we are going to select the CRM, we're going to make it clear that it's the CRM, we're going to give folks the ability to subscribe to different notifications, some of which are general, some of which are address specific.
Yes.
That would be great. That is I think that's the problem here that we need to address. Solve it in the context of this thing, but it's another
Just another, yeah.
another folder on the stack of problems.
Irish, Larry.
Just, there is a street sweeping schedule.
Yeah.
It's posted.
I'm trying to find it.
So that's what
Yeah, there you go.
There is.
and I think I had it bookmarked on my computer at some point, but would be a start in terms of education. Like maybe, I think if this is a broader issue, that it goes out through the mayor's newsletter or something, that, what, you've got to pay attention to street sweeping, like everyone check, here's the bookmark, or here's the link. This is what's happening, pay attention. So as a part of the education,
It says, sorry, Joe, it says we appreciate your patience as we work on updating our street sweeping map.
So, but starting there, and there is a schedule, and presumably they follow it. So I think that would be one start to getting that out and making it just, as much as this recycling, we know it's Tuesday and we know it's street sweeping, it's part of that, getting that information out. And getting back to whatever the pamphlet is, do that. I'm wondering, again, is it ethical? But is it, because I do think that's part of the education in multiple languages, or have a QR code or whatever's on it. But I'm just out of curiosity.
You mean if people were leaving it on windshields or posting it on doorknobs?
Yeah, exactly. If someone's posting it or leaving it on the cars or whatever that piece is, that information piece is, who develops that?
So in the past, like Councilor Maliki and I did our own, and to inform constituents of what's happening or this or that, and go to this website or that, and actually door knocking, which is a good thing to do because you're meeting the people and it's another touch, is, you have some discussion there. It does take a little bit of time, but here you're talking about town streets.
So,
Okay.
Someone has to own the process.
yeah, just getting back to that. But,
Absolutely.
There's a couple things I wanted to comment on this one. Juanita her department could create the forms for us, and they struggle with having enough people to do work as it is for the most part. So I would probably suggest to her that the Ward 1 councilors take that up, and we also get help from our community who could and just they could help us hang them on the on doorknobs and things like that. That's probably how what in reality to get it done, that's probably what would happen. And then just the other issue that came up about having a citywide street sweeping program, I'm really not in favor of that. Or in terms of, we already do have a street sweeping, we just don't. But I wouldn't want to like put signage up, you know, like on Pleasant Hill or Chestnut Hill or areas where there's really no need for any additional signage, because generally speaking, cars aren't parked on the street constantly all the time. And really, that's the barrier. I don't like putting up any additional signs if they don't have to. They are a bit of a, you know, an eyesore. They're a bit of an eyesore. So, and I think it generally is complaint driven. And I mean, we could certainly talk to, in Ward 1, we could talk to the corner or some of the other, talk to people about what they think about, you know, increasing the street sweeping. Probably most people don't.
Or people what?
Because probably a lot of people wouldn't be really keen on it, because of course that means they have to move their car, and it's just slightly inconvenient.
Once a month.
Yep, once a month.
Yeah.
Between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m.
That was gonna be my question. I had it down here, what time is street sweeping? But
9
you
a.m.
said
to 1.
9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
For that area.
For Nonantum, but it's different throughout the city.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but there's no enforcement throughout the city generally, and there does need to be in large parts of it. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, because I mean, you know, you said Cambridge isn't towing, and I work in Cambridge, and I see the tow trucks out there. Now, granted, I haven't noticed them in a while now that you mention it. But you know, they do ticket at least once a month, and there's a cop out there, and yeah, it's
There was a story in the Globe, actually, they did stop towing, and they noticed that people weren't moving their cars. And even though it was like a $50 or $100 fine in Cambridge, people would eat it and just not move their car. So they found, you know, there's a double-edged sword to that.
yeah.
People move their cars if they're not.
And then if they get told once, they make sure they remember.
Oh my God, it's in your brain, yeah.
Anyone who's been told, you always remember.
Yes.
I have to be on the lookout when I park in this neighborhood again.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other hands before we close?
Well, are we gonna make a recommendation for increase of? And then it would go to
So
finance.
I know, I just want to, because the docket item says, comma, including increasing fines.
Yeah.
I would like a larger, just me personally, a separate, not docket item, but it's just, I would need to think about this before I recommend increasing the fine. I think we would need more
language for a lot of property.
Right, but.
Sure.
Why can't we discuss like why we now, I mean, I think most of us want to increase the fine, or to increase it to $50, 75, 100, whatever. I think we should have a discussion now.
I would like to know more. So again, me personally, I would like to know more, like what do other, like, for example, you said Cambridge, like what precisely is their fine? What do other cities and towns do? I want to make sure we're consistent. We don't have that right now in front of us. Captain, do you know what other cities and towns charge for street sweeping fines?
I'm not sure. Take a look tomorrow and send you. I'll do some surrounding communities, see if they have anything. I can ask around different departments if you want.
Cambridge is 100.
Okay, Council Silver just said Cambridge is $100. But I mean, yeah, I think we should increase the fine, no doubt. I just want to make sure we're having in
Boston's 40.
Boston is 40, and informed. But I would like to discuss it at a different time.
Yeah.
That's all.
Brookline is 30, but they're considering raising it this month actually to 40.
Brookline has other issues, but yeah.
Well, can I just move that we increase the fine at no amount?
I'm sorry?
Move the motion, have a motion just to increase the fines.
Your recommendation to increase the fine.
Yeah, period. Not with an exact amount.
I'm still, I don't know what you're,
Just approve a recommendation to increase the fines.
what would that I'm sorry, what would that accomplish?
Well, it would just show that the community supports increasing the fines.
Or are you saying we're going to leave it to finance to make it?
And then we file with separate document.
I would rather have that conversation with a separate docket item or on, with this docket item on a different night about what specifically we would increase the fines to. I don't think there is a,
In this committee, not finance.
oh, we'll go to this committee and finance to increase the fines. But I would rather have that conversation later, that's all.
Okay.
I just want to make sure we're having an informed conversation.
So, and what about
Council Block.
the notice, either what the reverse 911 that you mentioned about, the mayor's office, or so you mentioned it,
No.
all right, so wherever it so
Came from the other side.
that feels like just as important a step to take
Education.
as the fine, but we don't do that. Like, how do we make that
It
happen?
would be someone in, I presume, DPW. Would need to be the street sweeping czar. I presume.
Well, or is this something that just gets automated and people get noticed every month when their street sweeping schedule comes up? But we've got to have a system and do that on a street by street basis. So where do we put that? Whose lap do we put that
The website, subcommittee. Or the website advisory group, or the website working group. This is a CRM issue that I was discussing with Councilor Silver. Like, what you're talking about is desperately needed. So that's a longer term deal to get the system set up, to get people notified to sign up, to get the subscription set up. I think this merits action before that, but I think that there's certainly more than a consensus of what you're requesting is a critical need in the city.
I think
That's all
though, they can change, do a small, I think the mayor can take a small area to send out, a message. Because like, when, I don't know, if the whole city found out, got the message, if your crash is on Friday, you're gonna skip 2 weeks, from that snowstorm. I got that message, I think I got it twice. But, so I think, they were able to direct in, certain streets or whatever, that message from the mayor coming in. And so that's from the mayor's office. I don't know if that's Dana or something like that to create that message.
So if this is gonna get held, Councilor Block, would it make sense to also invite somebody from the mayor's office to talk about notifications?
You asking me or Council Block?
Councilor Block.
Okay.
Why not, I guess?
Okay. Juanita. She knows a lot about this. Councilor Leary?
Yeah, I think that what you guys are talking about is a much larger issue. You're talking about notifications for a lot of different things that would be important, including changes to like trash or snow emergencies or things like that. And I think that's important. But for the sake of efficiency, can't we just say we're going to raise the fine to $40 and then send it off to finance, and we can get additional information and they can, finish it? I want to, I understand that, but I really miss public facilities.
It'll teach you to come to our meetings.
I mean, we would refer the docket item, if I understand it correctly, we would refer the item to finance with a recommendation that we would increase the fine to, I'm just gonna call it X amount of dollars. And then finance will take it up and then send it to the full council. Does that sound right?
I think finance
Ms.
is an idea of
Delaney?
what we're thinking about.
No, we need a new docket item?
We need a new document.
There it is, we need a new docket item.
With draft language,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
with a new fee.
yeah.
I think we should be specific about the fee, which means we should at least find out what other jurisdictions are charging.
This item should really
Yeah,
be
I
voted,
get that.
no action
Well, we-
necessary because of a discussion item.
Yeah,
Okay.
And then we pick a number, 40, 50,
Pick a
100,
number.
we talk about it, we'll pick a number.
And everybody has
Yeah.
a sheet, increase the fine from 25 to
to X,
Oh,
to a
okay.
specific.
Yeah. All right. Any further discussion before we
Yeah.
NAN, Counselor Wright?
So that's gonna be one, new docket item, and then maybe a second docket item is notification. Getting the mayor's office, no reverse 911 or 311, whatever, call to certain neighborhoods and a pamphlet and things like that. And that should probably
That would be a discussion item.
discussion item. Why, yes,
Yeah, what else would it be?
Ordinance change.
It's not
I
a.
was kidding, I was kidding.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was just trying to be funny. I wasn't.
Okay. all right.
but we want something done. Can that be done in a discussion item?
Well, you need the administration to implement.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to be a discussion item. They just need to,
Okay.
they need guidance from us,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Okay.
But they are the ones who ultimately have to implement. I mean,
Yeah.
the discussion today, I've heard a lot about implementation and education.
Yeah.
That has to come from, respectfully, the administration, less from us, although you and Councilor Malachi going door to door is always noble. But
Because certain departments won't do it.
yeah, I'm not doing that. But yeah, so I think we might have a plan for this increasing the fines going forward.
Two new items.
Two documents.
Yeah, one of them increase the fine, the other one a discussion on education and
Notification.
notification. Yeah.
Will you take this up as chair? Will you take this up as soon as it's adopted?
When's the next full council meeting?
27?
I know we have the 27th, so I know we have an appeal on the 29th.
The 15th is a public hearing for public comment.
No, we're not doing it now.
No, but you're trying to full council.
The full council is, so
27th.
the earliest,
No, they bumped it.
Yeah, the
It's in
27th.
Okay.
It's in the,
so Councilor Roach, to answer your question, I don't know.
calendar, but they bumped it.
But a general commitment to take it up as soon as
Yes, yeah,
possible.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
There are people here, I think that the one thing I'm sensing is a bit of urgency. And so if we're gonna have to go through process, and I appreciate that that's necessary.
Started early.
Yeah, let's get moving.
Yeah, so the next full council is the 27th, so it'll be accepted into the docket on the 27th. The docket deadline is the 20th, by the way, so you have about a week and a half.
It says docket deadline on this schedule is the 13th.
Councilor Wright, the full council meeting is the 27th.
I know.
The docket deadline will be the 20th.
The docket deadline there is 13th.
Yeah, it hasn't been updated.
Let's have an arm wrestle.
Yeah, and then, so the earliest, Councilor Roach, there you are, it could be is the 29th.
Okay.
So, and then we have,
So no items?
Well, I think
We have a
the
budget.
chair on behalf of the public safety should talk to
I can, yes. But I just want to let Councilor Roach know the earliest it could be is the 29th.
That's, and we have a budget.
No, we don't.
No,
We don't.
okay.
Wait,
All right,
well, it doesn't matter. Well,
motion and
Councilor Roach has made a motion to NAN for any further discussion. Okay, we'll try this on a voice vote here in a conference room. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstentions, ayes have it, 7-0.
7-0.
Item is NAN.
Chair. 18 seconds.
Go ahead. We're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna take a,
Captain Devine?
Anyone want water?
Captain, or do you want to stay for the next docket item?
Oh, what is the next docket item? Hold on.
Overnight parking ban discussion.
Sure, if you want me to stay, I can certainly sit on for that if you want me to stay on for that. So I'll stay for that, I guess, if you want.
It'll be lots of fun.
Sure, I'm here.
So we're taking a 2-minute recess.
I just have a PSP budget.
No,
Okay.
it says it right here.
No action necessary.
It's on a budget.
Because we're gonna require two.
Okay.
Public facilities has a budget. We go, because we only have police and fire on Thursday the 7th.
And then one for North.
Yeah.
That's gonna go.
It's a regular meeting on the 29th.
Okay,
I know, because we have a,
don't know why I did that, but I'll give you guys.
I just want you to know that I made a suggestion, and I don't want you to take it personally.
Oh, that can't be on it?
I know that the roll call starting and ending
No,
rotate.
no.
See, now you're just.
okay, we're now back to our second item, or the main event, of the evening. Docket number 62-26, requesting a discussion and ordinance change to the city's overnight parking ban. This is the third time this has been on our agenda. I just want to say right now, I have enjoyed all conversations about the overnight parking ban. I think it's an interesting and exciting item. So where we left off was maybe a month or so ago, trying to formalize goals on what we want to accomplish with an update to the overnight parking ban ordinance, and perhaps creating a working group. I wrote a small memo that was in our backup. It was the last page. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to read it, all 2-3 paragraphs. So I put some goals in there. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to read them. I just want to go around the room and just talk about the goals that are before us. And we can then talk about potentially creating a working group. So who wants to start off talking about goals? Let me just read them, some of them into the record. To ensure street sweeping, we just talked about that. Positive climate impact, equity, navigable streets, street safety, easy to make changes, a living document, easy to enforce, a timeline of actions, ready to implement by December 1st of this year. And we can always add or subtract goals. But I just want to get some sort of baseline of where the committee stands on making changes to the ordinance. Councilor Roach, are you telling me to wait, or are you raising your hand?
I'm raising my hand.
Okay, all right, because this is, this is hold on.
Okay.
This is raising your hand.
Yes, this is
Go
also
ahead.
out in tennis, which is a
Oh.
different.
Didn't know.
Okay, so I would be expressed about allowing adequate emergency vehicle access, which is a point that Ms. Soro has made repeatedly, among others.
Anything else?
Yes,
Oh,
I was waiting for you to.
oh, okay, yeah.
Discourage car ownership and use, particularly near to area colleges and universities. Or Newton areas, Newton colleges and universities, actually area, because there are some adjoining.
Near colleges.
Modes, other mode uses where appropriate.
Other vehicle.
No modes like bicycle, walking.
Other vehicle.
No, modes.
Modes,
Oh,
like biking. So the overnight, if you lift the overnight parking ban, it may not mean that there's parking on the street because it has bike lanes, or we decided to implement bike lanes, etc.
yeah, those bike lanes are also always moving.
Yep.
Coming and going, so. But, yeah.
So what I was gonna say too is sensitive to existing land use and incumbent parking patterns. So that we are paying attention to current conditions.
What's an example do you mean, just so I can?
Nonantum versus
What's
Daniel
the-
Street near me.
Okay,
You know, like there are already parking patterns as based on current land use. Let me put it this way. I'm not a big believer that we should be reserving parking, off-street parking, for, current residents on the street when we have new development necessarily, like it's gonna get, it may get parked up. But where the city, where the street is already parked up because, fully parked up because of the existing land use, the amount of parking available, the people's use of the streets, we should be sensitive to that. So we should be sensitive to current conditions.
Got it.
And I would also be explicit that we are addressing hardships. I don't see it, or maybe,
No.
you do talk about equity, but I think,
We've talked about that, but yeah, you're right. Okay.
but I should have prefaced this, Councilor Lucas, by saying, I really appreciate that we're doing this. I think this is the right step before we launch a working group. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Roche. I saw Silver and then Wright.
Yeah, I think we should add something about trash pickup, because I don't live on the street where this is an issue, but I've got to imagine that on streets where there's parking, it makes it harder for trash trucks to pass where you pick up the.
I would imagine.
I think that's already addressed by the fact that where it is, they get out of the truck.
Well,
We don't though. We have a lot of complaints. If cars are parked on the.
Every time I say something, you contradict me with some fact. Like, this isn't pleasant.
I mean, whenever I put up my barrels at my last place, my current place, I'm always trying to put the barrels in a place where a car can't park. Maybe I'm just.
When cars move them out by us, when the cars move them and that one to park there and some people don't get their trash picked up. It's gotten nasty.
Point taken.
All set, Councilor Silver?
yes, that's it.
Councilor Wright?
I think we need to be careful on hardships and what we define hardships, because there are places that have limited parking or no parking, and that's something that we've done as a city, and now opening up the streets to additional parking. We have less parking, trying to promote car light, but now if you open up the street, people can say, well, it's a hardship, like the project going on Watertown or on Washington Street where there's no parking.
Oh, well, I'm well aware of that.
And there's gonna be another one in West Newton where there's no parking. And, well, they have 2 parking spots for 27 units, but to me, that's no parking. Yes.
Well, it's better than Newtonville, but go on.
Yeah, so, people there complain hardship, but I don't think that's what we should.
So
be giving
keeping in
them.
mind that these are guiding goals for the working group.
Yeah.
I think that we can be a little looser, but I think your points are well taken, but I think that these are guiding. We can soften hardships, extreme or something, but I feel.
Or define different levels of hardships and what we'll address.
Or maybe just take it out, I'm fine with it.
Be there, and I think it's important, but I think we're gonna need to define what hardships are.
But the question that I have is, do we leave that to the working group, or do we give the working group that instruction? I'm comfortable leaving it to the working.
If it makes it, I would feel comfortable giving it to them. I would.
But I want them to discuss that, so if we don't put it here.
Sure. Yeah.
And the working group could say, the hell with that, then they'll come back here and we say, no, we want it. I mean, there's nothing written in, we're not
Okay,
etching in stone right now.
Yeah.
It's all in pencil and a pen. Councilor Block, Irish, Greenberg.
I'm concerned that we're loading up this working group and this item with an impossible agenda. I do not see the issue about encouraging or discouraging car use as being, part of what's in front of us. And I do not see climate change. I just don't see any of that. We voted, the citizens voted by a narrow margin to retain overnight parking. So we're gonna retain overnight parking.
Overnight parking ban.
Overnight parking ban. And so, but the debate highlighted some whether it's hardship, you want to call it hardships or equity issues. The debate highlighted, at least in part, that there are people who have vehicles and whose residents don't come with any off-street parking. So we're imposing a requirement that is very difficult for them to meet because of that. So how do we address this? And it seems to me we need to figure out how many situations there are like that. What's the census of residences who don't have any off-street parking? And I think that should include even those people who don't have vehicles. I mean, this city should know that answer. And what's in front of us and what I would ask the working group to help us do is, how do we address this hardship, this equity issue, this sort of fact of life? Because these buildings were built before zoning, they're smaller lots, they don't have any off-street parking, or they don't have sufficient off-street parking for each of the residences in each of the units in this building. So we need to find some relief. And that to me is what I want to see come out of this. I just, whether people should bicycle more, walk more, drive less, have fewer cars, those are all very nice, social goals, but I don't want to put that on this working group or on us, frankly, at this point. That's just not how I view what's in front of us.
Well, I guess the goals would be just to give a working group guidance.
Well,
It's not necessarily instructions. You have to address this, it's guidance.
Well, that's
And yes,
splitting hairs. I mean, if the guidance, whatever you want to call it, the guidance that we would give to a working group would be what we would expect them to talk about and try to come up with recommendations. I mean, otherwise, why are we telling them what they're calling guidance? I mean, consider whether people should use cars more or less, or bicycle more or less than they do. I just don't think that's really what we ought to be trying to achieve on this item. Enough said.
Okay. You had your hand up, Councilor Irish, and then Councilor Greenberg, and then Councilor Roach.
First, I did have two things maybe to add to it, but then I want to address sort of the ambitious goals that we have. But having said that, something about being based on data, whatever that is. I know we talked about finding out getting more data during several of the conversations.
Yeah.
So, but that's in there. But just to remind that that's something to think about in making this is sort of data driven when possible. And I don't know how to actually say this, but something about the whole thing is one size doesn't fit all. We have unique neighborhoods with different needs, and that may be in there or might be implied, but something about the fact that we're trying to fix the problems for the neighborhoods that need to be fixed.
Yeah.
And that's really within the focus. So however that state that include. Yeah.
Newton Corner, Monantum,
Yeah,
Falls.
and that somehow, and maybe to your point, talk about maybe short-term goals and long-term goals. I agree, like I just added something to include in speaking of goals, but maybe it's some short-term things and long-term. Maybe you're thinking about that, I don't know. But we do have a lot in there, but just as for guidance for the working committee, maybe some things, do you have it in there?
I mean, the short-term goal would be December 1st, 2026. At least that's how I interpret it as.
Okay. I was thinking things that might be more actionable and easier to address as opposed to some of the more long-term goals, whether it's around climate or parking or reducing car lights, those are sort of long-term,
Mhm.
maybe the short-term ones actionable. So make some progress.
Council Greenberg?
So if we want to hit the goal of implementing something by December 1st of this year, I think we really need to focus on, Council Irish said that, just fixing and providing relief for those residents that need relief now. And then work for the longer impacts afterward. And I know we've discussed in the past, offering some relief. I know it's not part of the overnight parking ban ordinance, but the folks who need to park during emergency snowstorms, I think that should be in there somewhere though. This would work on allowing those folks to stay overnight in those parking lots.
So I will say this, because I think I mentioned it, maybe the first or second meeting, I don't know which meeting it was. We had, I think it was the second snowstorm we got this winter. I walked to the Star Market in Newtonville, and I wanted just to pop my head into the Austin Street parking lot, which is underneath the apartment buildings. And there were cars parked in there during the snow emergency underneath the roof, not on the exposed part. And they had the permit, on the dashboard, and they were parking there. They got some snow just because it's kind of open, but for the most part, the car was clear. And that is something which, I asked Josh Morse about this. He's like, yeah, we allowed it for this snow emergency. So it looks like that may continue for next year. Of course, that's the only public parking lot that is covered, right? I think it is.
You count the library?
I
I don't know
count
how
it.
well that works.
I don't count that as covered. It will protect you from rain, perhaps, but snow, I don't know.
It'll protect you a lot.
But but again, that's a larger conversation with DPW, the administration, and library staff. Because I think City Hall does store some of its vehicles there during snow emergencies. So,
So if that could be addressed by the, which is great.
so we'll call it snow emergency relief. Spell. Okay, Councilor Roach, you had your hand up.
So the reason that I added climate change and car ownership, or that we discussed them, is not because that we're trying to accomplish that with these. It's that there's a substantial number of the people who support the overnight parking ban who do so because of its impacts on car ownership and usage. And so if we're going to change the parking ban, then our change should reflect why people supported the ban in the first place. I think that if we want to do something short term, it shouldn't be because we're thinking about short term impacts or long term impacts. I think we should do is maybe some narrow change that has a short term impact on the most pressing of the needs. Then let's make that let's have that discussion now and make that the thing. Is like before December we want to deal with the most glaring problems, knowing that we'll have to come back later, but then keep whatever we do very narrow in scope, and then we can talk about it in larger terms. But there are plenty of people who look at the parking ban as a mechanism to accomplish these larger social goals. That's one of the reasons it succeeded at all. So I think that if we're going to focus on something in the short term, we should be very clear that it should be as narrow as possible, and that we will do something broader later, and so that basically we're keeping the ban with some very narrow exceptions.
What would you say is the biggest I don't want to use the word hardship, but the biggest challenge for those who might have voted yes to repeal? If you could pick one thing.
I think it's incumbent car dependency that we don't kind of look down on. We had that lovely letter from the family where they're all doing these great things all over, Eastern Massachusetts. There are 4 of them, and they need their cars to go be nurses and firefighters and volunteer. We need to have some exceptions in some neighborhoods or some. This is why I think it's tough to think about it in terms of exception and not a larger policy. I'm sure that it's even possible.
Yeah. Someone raised, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Councilor Silver.
I just want to agree, I agree with Councilor Block that we are putting a lot of different toppings on this sandwich. And it's a lot to take on, but I also do think that given the number of people that voted one way or the other for the parking ban, that people care a lot about parking. So I do think putting all this stuff in here is important. But I also agree that we need to think about how we're going to stage it out, how we're going to collect the information, to figure out what the right way to do things are. And then I'm going to throw in that we have even added schools in there. I mean, I know Newton North has its own, but this is how it's ballooned in my head, where I kind of feel like there's so many things going into this, and I don't quite understand how to tackle it. But giving it to a group of people to think about hard, I think is the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I mean, with respect to the schools, that will be a very difficult one.
Yes.
If you mean school parking lots and school streets.
No, well, school streets that are around schools.
You're thinking of Newton South.
Well, now
As-
Newton North is solved, right?
Well, no, the Newton North neighborhood park or the Newtonville neighborhood parking map, that's always changing. And I just recommended another change for in the next month or two. And I know Newton South is probably going to have something coming up. It's just my guess. You were at that meeting last month.
Yes, you don't have to guess.
Yeah.
Sure. Every time we walk
Yeah.
on the street, another street asks.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. You're gonna need a map.
Yeah.
And just school parking lots. That's just gonna be super challenging to allow parking in those.
You mean for overnight?
Oh, I thought that's what you were going.
Oh, no, but that's.
Yeah, that's gonna be, because the schools are gonna say, yeah, but those cars aren't gonna leave. Of course, there's Friday night and Saturday night, so, Councilor Wright.
So I did talk to Mr. Morris, and I was there another time, and the schools, and this is something that, the group can work, the schools are kind of off limits because they need to clear those parking lots for the teachers if they're gonna have schools the next day. The thing that we can use is our playground parking lots, which aren't being used probably during a snow emergency or something like that, except for the one over at 4 that they use for snow storage. I don't know if they use a whole lot, but they can use part of it. But there's other parks that have parking, and it's not as urgent to clear that space, and get all the cars out right away. So, but that's something the working group can look at.
But now this is a snow emergency.
Yeah, snow
Yeah.
emergency, yeah.
I know, there was another parking lot, which I can't remember off the top of my head, that was used for snow storage.
Forty.
Yes, Forte Park in Nonantum by the McDonald's. That's also used for snow storage.
But there's other parks that have parking.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking of, well, it's not just the Cove. You have your hand up? No? Oh, I thought you had your hand up. Sorry. So the goals that are in the agenda, just what I heard so far today, emergency vehicle access, discourage car ownership near colleges. I think I got that right. Promote other mode transportation uses. sensitive to existing land uses, addressing hardships, addressing trash pickup, data-driven, long and short-term goals, no emergency relief. That's what I've heard today. Counselor Wright?
I have a question, and for you, for addressing trash pickup, but the trash pickup is during the day and you can park on the street during the day. How is that an issue on this, in the overnight parking ban?
I think it was,
I think first of all, you have to make the questions to the chair. No, but I didn't raise it.
no, it was Counselor
Oh.
Fields.
It is me. Well, this is where I get to this sort of like how we, for example, say we said, well, we're not gonna have overnight parking, we're gonna have alternate side of the street parking. I'm just throwing this out. But then it has to alternate, a couple of times a week, right? So I'm just sort of saying this is where, and we have all these different, we have street sweeping once a month, we have trash once a week, we have snow, it's an emergency, we have nighttime, it's at night. We have school, it's time of day. So there's all these different considerations now where we try to think about the solution and how do we manage a solution that takes into account these different factors, including trash. So that was sort of where my head was going.
And again, these aren't solutions they're just goals.
Right.
That's all, just goals. Or guidelines.
Considerations,
What?
factors, considerations.
Yeah, again, nothing's written in stone. I mean, a working group could say, we're not gonna take trash collection into consideration or a different item. Did you have your hand up?
Yes,
Oh.
I propose that we walk through each one of these and you do a quick sense of the committee for each, and if there's serious objection, take it out, otherwise leave it in and call it a day.
That's all right.
Oh, have we decided how many and how
No,
this working group is gonna be?
no, we're still on goals.
Okay.
Was that it?
Yep.
Okay.
I like your division between short-term and long-term, or maybe
Yeah,
you first mentioned that.
yeah,
And that the focus of this working group should be primarily short-term, so that we can do something by December 1st.
Yeah.
We're not, all these larger goals, we're not gonna make any impact by December.
and the big goal that I put in here was in the memo was if I can find it, easy to make changes. So if we try something in year one, doesn't work, I've had my fair share of bad ideas, don't get me wrong, we can change it for year two. That's what I mean, like, it needs to be a living document, it needs to be easy to make changes. So you don't have to hit a home run in the first inning, you could just get a single. Sports metaphor.
I don't have any objection to that in principle. However, I think we, again, have to be very clear, if we're talking about short-term goals,
Mhm.
then it has to be very narrowly defined. Because if we're saying that we're doing something broad only to meet the short-term goals, what we're really saying is we're doing something in the near term to address the anti-parking ban goals and not the larger pro-parking ban goals. So if we're and I'm fine, if we're gonna say we want to do something short-term, it's gotta be very narrow.
So I just want to take a quick straw vote from the committee. Should the working group, if we decide to create one, should they focus on short-term goals only, meaning to be implemented by December 1st?
Is that gonna preclude them from discussing what the overall will be? I mean, I think you can't just take it in a vacuum.
Agreed.
They
You know?
can, oh, go on, sorry.
Yeah, so I think their main goal should be something that can implement on December 1st, but they should be talking about the whole thing or more of it.
The working group could be continued, and I suppose, to next year after December 1st. I mean, this is gonna be something that we're gonna be looking at during the winter months from December to March. So if we have something on the books for December, that's great, but I'm not putting up the mission accomplished banner and say we're done. I mean, we need to monitor it, and that's, it's not a goal, but that's just something that we are going to do. Councilor Block.
I think the working group should be one and done. I do not see this group having an ongoing life. I think that it will make it harder for us to find people who are willing to serve on something. If this is in effect a new kind of standing advisory group on this topic, we need some thinking done on how do we get the most relief with the least amount of disruption to a complicated parking environment for sure. But and they can talk about whatever they want. They will talk about whatever they want. But the focus, I think that the instructions, the guidance that comes out from this committee to them, I think it should be very focused. And in that sense, I agree with Councilor Roach. It should be as focused as possible so that we can actually accomplish something, and that the people who are concerned about this will feel it, will realize it. Okay, the system worked this way before, and now it's going to work this other way now, at least on a trial basis.
I mean, who knows? Then maybe the short-term goal or short-term solution will be the long-term solution. Possible.
Friendly amendment, let's give them the charge to start with Ward 7 and let's see how they go.
Wait, sorry?
Let's have them, parallel process for a second. Let's have them start with the short-term narrow goals but not restrict them. And we give them a time deadline, and if they don't, they can, give us whatever thinking they've got on the longer solution. But I'm fine having them, one and done. But I also think that I don't think this is going to be that challenging to get something done in a few months. So let's not limit them.
Okay.
I'm optimistic.
Oh.
I have great confidence.
Me too. Your tone was just like you're down here, but I'm optimistic.
No. So let's take Councilor Block's recommendation, focus on narrow short term, great, but not restrict them to that. Time limit as a way of preventing this from being, a forever working group.
Yeah.
And let's see what we get out of it. Does that, Councilor Block?
Sure.
All right. So I'm gonna take up.
Sorry,
Silver.
I sort of have a counterpoint, which is I
for crying out loud.
I think that there needs to be a vessel into which we pour ideas, information, data about how we solve parking longer term. Now, I think that we should consider the working group as having people who may want to be on the longer term and some people who may want to be on a shorter. But I'm hesitant to take what we got out of the voting. It was a lot of people very, very interested in parking, and say, well, we're just going to solve a tiny problem and walk it and keep going. That's not.
Okay. Councilor Greenberg.
I agree with that, but it's just the first step.
Yeah.
And it's a evolving process, and we're gonna keep going and keep looking at it. It'll keep evolving and figuring what works, what doesn't work. I just think it's not a one and done process.
This is gonna be
It's complicated.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be a lot of mistakes and a lot of,
hopefully not.
well,
Okay.
I don't know, it's just so complicated. It's just one simple.
Well, I'm not involved in it, so there'll be less mistakes.
Oh.
I think there's some people in front of me.
No.
Okay,
I did what?
Oh, Councilor Wright.
I also think, because it might be, if it's gonna be longer term, and maybe other people, we have a website or somewhere where they can just deposit their data and what they found and things like that. So if a different group comes in, they're not reinventing the wheel again. They already have that information.
That's mostly, I mean.
Yeah.
I think there are gonna be people who are gonna wanna keep working on it. I agree, we shouldn't tie people to a multi-year commitment, but the folks are not providing.
Yeah. All right, Councilor Roach, you had said, just to get a sense of the committee of the goals that we have so far. I'm sorry, did you want to say something?
No.
Oh, okay, oh, I'm sorry.
This was the next.
Oh,
I just have to spit something out about parking, if you don't mind. Parking is a huge, complicated issue. If we put all of these things in front of us, in front of the working group, I fear we will just not accomplish anything because it's so complicated. And I'm not optimistic about that. But I do think that if we keep things narrow, that we will be able to come up with some strategies that will provide some relief to the people who need it the most. And that's what I feel about it. I've heard the mayor mention self-driving cars as something that is coming eventually, and that will change things in a significant way, but in an unpredictable way. And I think he's probably right about that. But let's just not make the perfect the enemy of the good. We've got to do something. I think the voters are watching this process, and we can do something. Let's just not let it get so large that at least for now that we can't do something by December 1st.
Councilor Roach.
I'm really trying to work with you on this, Council Block. Some set of voters want some emergency relief to the overnight parking ban. Those people did not persuade the other people and were on the short end. The other people had a set of values that motivated them to vote to keep the parking ban, the overnight parking ban. And to say that we're complicating things by including the values of the people who prevail, we're not complicating it, we're just reflecting what different segments of the population wanted. So presumably we will have people who are capable of being on the working group, and they can keep lots of ideas in their heads. If we're going to do something in the short term, then it really needs to be narrow so that we are not giving short shrift to the values that motivated people to maintain the ban. That's my point. It's not to complicate or not complicate things. It's simply to say there are sets of values on one side, sets of values on the other. If we're going to make changes, we need to reflect both. If we're only going to reflect, if we try to do something short term and make it less complicated, it has to be super narrow. To give the group a primary responsibility to do something narrow to deal with the most burning problems, that doesn't seem to be a terrible idea. But to then suggest thinking more broadly is a problem, is to say that the values behind maintaining the ban are the problem, and I cannot get on board with that.
Okay, I think you two agree more than you disagree.
Yeah.
I want to take you up on your offer. Let's try to potentially narrow down these goals to more.
Well, that's fine. My point is just to have them. If there's the sense to object, I don't think this is an unworkable list of things for people the working group to think about. The issues the various issues that animated different people during the vote.
All right, let's just go. Oh.
I just would propose that we come up with our sort of objectives. Those are usually clear, short term, 3 objectives for the December 1st, make it very narrow, and with the long term. So I'm just going to propose we come up, go through the list,
Yeah.
and come up with actionable
Yeah,
objectives, and then we connect it.
okay. So,
Then I think you need to propose a few.
Well, that was to go through, yes.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
she did say a couple that are already on there. I just want to go through them all to, I
Okay.
mean, how about this? How about we go through the goals and just say, are they short-term goals or are they long-term goals? Some of them are long-term. Just looking at them right here in front of me.
I don't wanna drag this out forever.
There
Climate
you are.
action is not a goal.
I know.
It's an animating factor, short-term or long-term. If the short-term goal from what I understand is to do something soon that addresses the most pressing issues from the anti-ban folks. I'm fine with that. Let's just identify what those are. But to say, we're gonna say in the short term, you should consider climate change or not consider climate change, because climate change is longer term.
I know,
That doesn't make any sense.
I know, that's what I was trying to.
So Councilor Irish seems to have some thought in mind, which great. Let's propose something. But break through things not gonna get us to the first round.
More hands. Greenberg and then Wright.
I think we should come up with a short-term list, and just encapsulate that with the working group, keeping in mind positive kind of climate action and equity, that kind of stuff, just as part of the guiding force behind these decisions that they make. Not as a short-term or long-term goal, but that these are our city's guiding, they're about priorities that we have in our city, climate change, equity, blah, blah, blah. And they should need to keep those factors in mind as they make their decisions on these short-term goals.
I think that's great. Values and objectives.
Councilor Wright, you had your hand up, and I do want to go through these goals again.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, we want something very defined, and I don't know if this is too defined, is like, looking at a small subset of exemptions from the winter parking ban. And personally, for me, it would be only medical, just because you have too many cars that don't fit in your driveway. I don't think that is a good enough exemption, but I think, I don't know where you want to go, is give them specifically kind of that.
I want to go through the goals.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
All right. No more hands. I'm kidding. So let's see. Ensure street sweeping. How does everyone feel about that, take that goal into consideration?
They don't street sweep in the winter anyways, so that should just come off.
Is that right? They don't leave during the winter?
I don't think so, they do.
No, now
I don't know.
it was scheduled, but it didn't happen.
Yeah. How about this one? How about,
Snow on the ground, they're not up there sweeping when there's snow and ice on the ground.
well, this winter,
But during the winters where we just have leaves
where we
falling,
had 10 inches of snow, I mean,
branches falling.
but
they
I will temporarily
take
take it off. Okay, all right, move on to the next one. Positive climate impact. I think that was already addressed. That's some more of a long-term.
It's more of a value.
It's a value. Equity.
Value.
Wow, we're just
We're
cutting. We're just cutting.
Goals.
We're just cutting.
But-
We're just cutting.
There's two ways of looking at equity, and I think most people don't look at it the way I do, is not having parking reduces the price of the house and reduces the rent. And so taking that away and allowing someone to have parking, that raises prices of houses and that raises rents. And so that drives from the lower income people out of Newton, because they won't have those houses or.
Yeah,
or
that's
rent.
a longer term, that is a greater discussion, the cost of housing. And increasing exponentially, but my note here on the memo says equity. Someone said it's more of a.
But some people think the way I've been hearing it is it's not equitable to have one person gets parking and another one doesn't, so the person who doesn't get parking, you know, we should allow them to have parking.
We're not proposing any solutions. These are just goals.
Okay, okay.
Your point is well taken.
Yeah.
Equity is not a self-defined in this context.
Well, I mean, that's why I think equity could be a short-term goal. If we are trying to address those residents who don't have any off-street parking possibility, but we've got an ordinance that says you must take your car off the street. And they don't have an answer to that. So that's where to me, that's where the equity issue arises. And I mean, equity is the general concept, it's general value, true, but I think the way it plays out here, I think of it as a short-term need, short-term goal that should get addressed. But maybe calling it equity is a poor term,
Yeah.
that there's some other term.
But then places that.
Can we just go through the
Okay.
goals?
Okay.
Because we can be here literally to 2 o'clock in the morning and I have work. Navigable streets.
Value.
Yeah.
Value?
Yep.
I don't think it is from us.
I don't think,
Safety standpoint.
I mean, so hold on. Navigable streets, street safety. Those are the next two.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about short-term objectives, having those be objectives is really opening it up to larger than exceptions. Like if we're gonna have short-term action where we say during this for this short-term solution, we might not consider all of the values, then it's going to be very narrowly defined. If resolving the parking ban to address street safety, that's a big deal. I think what we're boiling it down to is, if we're going to have a short-term solution that addresses the key issues with the opponents of the ban raised, and what we're really talking about is equity and exception, and equity and hardships. Because that's what it boils down to. As soon as you get out of that bucket, you're really talking about debates over those values. Should we, I mean, really, one of the fundamental things that the proponents are saying is, we're really
Proponents of
the ban.
Of keeping the ban. Okay.
Yeah. What they were, a key thing is we want to discourage car use. And so if you're going to make any change that's more than minor, you got to talk about, why do people want to discourage car use, car ownership? So it gets complicated very quickly.
That was also one of your goals. Car ownership, just saying that. Navigable streets. Hold on, I just want to go back to this, just to the goals that we have here. Navigable streets. Yay or nay? Should that be a goal for the working group to ensure that the streets remain navigable?
That's vague to me. And if we're trying to find something that's clearly defined, I'm not sure. So
If we have two people who have hardship and they're parked directly across from each other on a less than 26-foot street. So I think you gotta throw it in.
okay, so that's true.
And something what they can deal with is, parking out on the other side, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's like my street is not very wide to begin with. And with the snow plowing, they reduced the width of the street by 10 feet, 6 feet on one side. I went out there and went tape measure and 4.5 feet on the other side. So it makes it dangerous.
Okay, we'll keep it for now. Street safety, that's kind of tied into it, perhaps. So should we keep that or?
Yeah.
Keep it, even though it might be a little bit redundant. All right, don't hear any objections, we'll keep it. Next one was easy to make changes, meaning easy to edit.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, that was mine.
Good one. Lucas.
Living document, that's redundant. I'm gonna strike that. Although living document sounds bad. Easy to enforce. Yes,
These are goals, right?
these are goals.
Okay, yes.
It was in the, I know
Yeah.
you were traveling, so.
All right.
Oh, you did? Yeah, it was, only took you what, a minute? Timeline of actions. Is that a goal?
Yes,
I know that was yours, Maria. So, oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Burke.
Is that the December first target?
Do you want to
Yeah,
explain that?
this is my.
Yeah. Yeah, take your time. Goal, not.
Goal is something implemented on December first.
You want to find it?
I have it,
Oh, you found it? Okay.
but this is just an example.
Yeah.
We would form a working group. Present the recommendations for a plan. Oh, I'm sorry. So we need to get approval from the city council before December 1st, so we can start on December 1st.
Yeah.
So we need to create a working group by the end of April.
Yep.
Then
Yep.
the working group meets, produces recommendations to us by July 1st. We go through it, work through it through the summer and September with our final decisions and present them to the city council. So that the city council can approve it, and it'll be ready for release on December 1st. That's just the proposed timeline.
I don't think that's a goal of the ordinance. I think it's something
I
that,
said that we need to do this.
oh, I think you're right. I agree with you. I just don't know if it's a goal here, that's all.
Oh, okay,
But I do want to keep ready to implement by December 1st as a goal.
okay.
Because that is the short term. Okay, so I'm gonna strike timeline of actions. And I want to keep ready to implement December 1st, 2026. Council, right?
Kind of on there is you should work backwards. You want to implement it by December first.
Yeah.
There has to be a public
Yeah.
meeting or comment the whole bit.
Yeah, that's something that I am very
Okay.
aware of. That's how I also thought about this.
And maybe,
Just,
this is the absolute, minimum, let's say works back to September 1st and then give an extra month.
yeah,
And so then August 1st, they have to have something, just so
Yeah.
everybody knows time.
and then a public hearing in the fall. I don't want it during summer. And then one last voting committee, and then send it to the full council by, in a perfect world, the middle of October, which gives the administration a month and a half to implement whatever we vote on. Just. All right, so far I have, let me just go back to the beginning, navigable streets, street safety, easy to make changes, easy to enforce, December 1st. And then, from today, emergency vehicle access. Yeah, I was just gonna say in street safety, so Councilor Roach, I'm gonna strike that.
Sure.
All right. Discourage car ownership near colleges, so basically.
This is a big one.
I know, I mean,
LaSalle.
I agree with you. Is it a goal here?
Again, I'd be happy to put it in a list of factors outside of the direct objectives. I'm not gonna keep revisiting my goal.
Yeah, I mean, I like it, I like the idea, but is it a goal?
Just put it in as a factor. That's fine by me.
I mean,
Factor in
put
the
in that-
decision on whatever they come up with.
Yeah, then we should give them, whatever our objectives are, we should still give them the
A
rest of those.
sub-goal.
Some considerations.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
Well, we
Just the environment.
long-term, we have to.
is that a short-term goal? Discourage car ownership near
Well,
colleges?
so there are a couple of these.
So
that are
right now-
actually
Right now, isn't it already discouraged? Right now,
correct.
okay?
So we don't want to undo that.
Right, and I think the voters kind of did that last November. When they upheld the ban. So
I don't think they were looking at that specifically.
Well, I think some who live neighborhoods,
Oh, in those.
colleges, yeah. Yeah, it wasn't necessarily one of my big considerations, but I knew it was a factor. Discourage car ownership near colleges. Is it a short-term goal?
In the short term, we shouldn't undo it.
See,
So it should be a factor they consider.
we'll keep it.
Yep.
Wait.
Oh,
Councilor Wright has something to say.
Can we add in village centers too, to that versus just the colleges? Because that's where you're getting limited parking.
I think that was sensitive to existing land uses.
Well,
But I
that's
just-
existing land use. That's what Councilor Wright is talking about is a broader thing.
I think you should add in village centers to that.
Near colleges and VCs.
Village centers.
So right now, especially with the VCOD, that you don't need parking. There's 2 buildings right now that are in the process that they're not gonna have parking.
Right.
People living there say, I have a hardship because I don't have parking,
Right.
just like a house that doesn't have parking. You know, we should really,
I agree.
think about that. Specifically, and there's gonna be more and more of that coming online, and we're getting a lot of complaints, with the MRT and with only 1 parking spot per unit, and people are over parking on the streets and things like that, and it's just, we need to.
The only issue I see with that is that if you have folks on the residential streets off village centers who have hardships and are gonna apply for hardship, and they end up parking on those residential streets, then that's where the problems are gonna be on the residential street.
I would also,
But it might
You're
be.
allowed to park on the village center instead.
No, it's more about when you get an exemption, you're gonna go to like a parking pass or
Right.
whatever, and it has to be, I would think it has to be tied to a car registered in a house.
Right.
So if you have a car, you're registered to your address, and if it's in, around the village centers and it's more in the VC zone, a VC2 or VC3, you're not going to get that permit. But if you're adjacent right next door to it and you're registered to a house,
Yeah.
you might be able to get that permit. And it's something they need to decide, but I
Yeah,
think
that's-
that needs to be
that's-
taken
that's the
into account.
problem.
we're talking, sorry. I just want to say that, Auburndale, West Newton, Newtonville, Newton Center, Newton Highlands, all have municipal parking lots, which you can park overnight. So, for example, Council Wright mentioned, the 2 multifamilies, West Newton and Newtonville. There are municipal parking lots in the neighborhood where folks could park. Just saying, they can.
So,
And they can
Maybe
also,
that'll-
and again, this is the overnight parking ban, ends March 31st, so on April 1st, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This is only for 4 months.
and then that'll be a separate,
Yeah.
the city council's gonna have to deal with like on Court Street.
Yeah, which I,
Court Street's number 1.
yeah, I know. So we're gonna do colleges and VCs, village centers. All right, can we get back to this? Promote other, would you say promote other transportation mode uses?
Yeah.
Short-term or long-term goal?
Again, I'd like to put that as a factor, as a factor to
That.
consider against the short-term objective.
Factor. Excuse me. Sensitive to existing land uses. Is that a short-term or a long-term goal?
Factor,
Consideration.
Factor again?
Yeah.
Councilor Roach, that was your.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I just told him. Addressing hardship.
Key short-term objective.
Yes, absolutely. I was gonna just underline this and circle it. Addressing trash, addressing trash pickup. You get the X.
I thought we agreed that that's not an overnight issue.
Correct.
Yeah, it's a longer term. I'm taking it off.
Okay, taking it
Okay, yeah, taking it off. Data driven. That was yours. It's
It's not really an objective.
Not a-
principle or a factor.
Think about,
not a goal.
well, maybe get some data.
Maybe
Look
I'll put it in factor.
Just to use if there's data available.
Long-term goals. That was easy. Short-term goals. Snow emergency relief.
I think that's a different
It's,
project.
yeah, I know, but it's if anything, it's a factor, but is it a factor for a short-term goal to solving the overnight parking ban? I mean,
It's
it's,
separate issue.
yeah, it's, I
And it's
agree.
something I think the city council can just do. I don't think this parking ban group needs to address that.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I
It's
just,
no emergency.
I mean, that's something that, is another docket item
It's like you should
as
have
we
this.
approach,
Yeah, I tried to do that once.
as we approach December 1st. That's something that we should have a discussion with DPW and schools and police and fire and all that stuff
Uh-huh.
about snow emergency relief. Where can folks park and what is the city doing to educate residents on where they can park during a snow emergency?
Okay.
I mean, Auburnville, the two garages in Newton Corner, the hospital,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have two right next to each other, two in Newton Corner right next to each other, two in Auburndale right next to each other. How about that?
Not cool.
Well, I can't build a garage, tomorrow, in wherever. What? Oh, yeah, you have a garage in Upper Falls. It's a big one. It's underground. Northland.
Oh.
All right, okay, all right, never mind. Cross it off. Collecting data.
Just covered that,
Yeah, really.
data driven.
Yeah,
Well,
But I think it was something
there's a
Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, yeah,
there's a lot of hardship factors that we have no information on. so-
yeah,
yeah, you have to get. some-
yeah. That was you wanted to, make sure that they store the data and they keep it and
Oh,
don't
that's
just
it,
go
that's-
out with, remember who says what.
I
All
think
right.
it's a very cheap.
Yeah, there's just.
But the
So-
thing is, one of the data points that's going to be difficult to collect, I mean,
Well,
someone can go and take a look and see how many people have driveways. But collecting the data of people who have driveways and don't have enough parking, that I think is almost impossible unless you go door to door.
Yeah.
asking people.
I mean, the data that I was, I mean, we have the captain here is, how many tickets are issued, from December to March? How many parking permits are issued? I mean, we have the data on how many parking, stalls there are in municipal lots, 874, not counting Graceland and some of the other parts, in Newton. So, I mean, there is data, but it needs to be in one spot and we need more of it. I have questions, which I don't think I brought with me, but,
But the tickets, I think a lot of it is complaint driven, so it's not.
it's not perfect, but it's it would be good to know where, where the tickets are. Are they all in, for example, Newton Corner? I mean, are they all in West Newton? I don't know. Someone got a ticket parked outside my house a couple weeks ago, so that's good, I guess. It's Washington Street, so it should be easy to spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, easy to spot. Okay, so let me just go back to the beginning. So we have navigable streets. I think I said that right. Street safety, easy to make changes, easy to enforce. December 1st. Discourage car ownership near colleges and village centers. Promote other transportation mode uses as a factor. Sensitive to existing land uses as a factor. Addressing hardship is a goal. Data driven is a factor. I just got the thumbs up from Councilor Greenberg, so I know I did something right. So we're good on the goals and the factors, and Danielle, I'll send you this list just so that or make sure our lists match up for the report. And then I just want to go to the last thing we're going to discuss tonight, the second item. I would like to solicit the committee's opinion on creating an overnight parking ban working group. The group would advise the committee by using the goals to propose solutions for an updated overnight parking ban ordinance. I think we're all, in agreement that there should be a working group. I think it was Councilor Roach, you mentioned it, or was it Councilor Wright? Sorry, I get you two confused.
Frequently people do.
Yeah. So one of you two mentioned possibly what is the composition of the working group, and that is worth a discussion. Maybe I got you confused with Councilor Wright and Councilor Roach. So I just want to open up, just, raise your hands. Council Draper will go first,
My
just
suggestion would be,
composition.
someone from TAG.
Transportation Advisory Group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone from traffic council member, maybe David Kosis.
I'm on traffic council.
Yeah,
All right.
Why do they need to be on there?
the traffic council member, because they know the regulations. I mean, they'd be a great resource.
They would.
They know the streets really well.
They know the streets really well, they know the regulations for the streets. A resident one, maybe one from north side, one from the south side,
Two residents.
and maybe some resident is a transportation expert. That's my suggestion.
So in your world, let me just, you have maybe 5 people on there. Okay, and 1 resident, and okay, all right.
Should the residents not be also members of the pro and against, and just,
Well-
think that that's.
I mean,
I've
throwing it out there.
I don't know. I don't want to speak. I hate speaking on behalf of people, especially for folks involved in this overnight parking ban ballot question. But I was told by the Yes campaign by the leaders of the Yes campaign, that they did not want to be on a working group. They just said, we did our thing. You can ask us a question, of course, and I have, but they just don't want to do any more work.
So that makeup of the group, who's really directing it is gonna be the 2 residents. Because they think about that. And so it's important to get the right one, because if you get 2 of the pro, or you go to no, it's gonna really direct what comes out of that committee.
Working group. You said committee.
Or the working group.
Yeah. Any other comments or questions on?
I'm not sure that's the complete, what we should have in the working.
Yeah, that's what I want to solicit that. That's her.
That's just my
Yeah.
starting
Yeah.
suggestion. Yeah.
Does anyone else have any suggestions on who should be, or the composition of the working group? How many people, counselors or no counselors, city employees, no city employees?
We should find out if the staff supported,
I'm sorry?
or is it gonna be staff supported?
It was, in my world, the working group would work with city staff.
No, all I'm saying is, do we have commitment of staff support?
I don't understand what you're.
Has somebody in the administration said we will staff this working group?
I've spoken to Josh Morse about the working group. He likes the idea of the working group. As far as, a city employee, I guess, helping them. I did not bring that up with him, but I certainly can do that. I think that was implied.
Okay, no, as long as, if you're happy, I'm
Yeah.
happy. I think there should be city staff supporting them, then we.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, like police, DPW, whatever. They're gonna need data. So yeah.
Technical
Yeah.
expertise.
Yeah. Council Irish.
This isn't a fully fleshed out idea, but I feel like it from the areas where the most problematic, where so we got someone from 2 residents, one from the north and the south, who may not really, I want to say grasp it or experienced it or understand or heard or lived it. Maybe objectivity would be good, I'm not sure, but if this is something new to them and don't experience, I don't know, I'm not sure,
Maybe
but-
they have no residents.
or more, or residents from neighborhoods or certain areas of the city where they've, it's been more of an issue.
You're
I'm just-
talking Upper Falls.
I don't know, I was thinking about something
The
new.
small
Yeah,
lots.
so I don't know where those are, but, so I don't know exactly, but just feel like the representation of the ones who are concerned.
Yeah, I think, they're really effective, but we need
But
to
we need
have.
balance of the other side, of the,
Well, no, not everyone from Normanton wants to have.
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That's very pro, one that's
That's
very anti, so.
so you make sure it's sort of,
I don't know how you do that.
I'm not sure.
I'm not big, I'm not big on where the folks, if we do put residents on there, where they live. The question is, are they data driven? Do they understand city processes? I just don't want to say, okay, we're going to pick this person because they live on the south side of Newton, but they're not really data driven. They don't, I think it's important to get. I don't want to say that, but
No, that's what I'm saying. I wasn't sure that was the best way.
Yeah.
I was just sort of thinking aloud
Yeah.
about who might be, and I agree they should be data driven and maybe objectivity around it is even.
I don't-
better.
they need to be objective. Hold on, Counselor Silva
I
has
just
to
have
say
a
that.
question. How have we put together working groups before for issues that have complex constituencies?
I'm on the Bullows Pond working group right now, and that was put together by Councilor Oliver sometime in December or January. And I can just, there's 4 city councilors. It's a big working group. 4 city councilors, DPW commissioner, Parks is represented on there. We have someone from the Newtonville Area Council, 2 people from the Bullows Pond Association. So it's a good mix of people, and there's very different opinions, trust me. And Josh Morse is leading.
I'm sure there's twice as many opinions as other people. So.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to, Bullows Pond. So that's just an example of one.
Probably varies.
Yeah.
With
There's no.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
There's no ordinance that governs how the working group has to be, formed.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I think we should have at least one counselor on there, and then also, you said whoever's on there need to know the city processes. I don't think so, because they're coming up with a solution. And they'll have experts in there to tell, it can work or not work, or, sort of thing. They don't necessarily need to know the city process.
Not required, but recommended. That's what you're saying.
Well, I'm not even recommending it, because there's other people there. You want more data-driven, more technical type of people on there versus knowing how the city runs. I don't think there's others.
Let me just do a quick straw poll. Who's in favor of having a current city councilor on the working group?
So we didn't over.
Hmm.
I don't care what we're.
Oh no,
Sorry.
One doesn't seem, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
2 ties. We're not done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I only saw 2 hands up.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen that many.
Well,
So-
ask who doesn't want to have the city councilor on there.
I think we'll get a shot at it.
Yeah.
I mean,
3 to 2. Exactly. Again, these are not.
Well, I'm worried that depending, it's going to be focused by the residents we have on there, and maybe they haven't looked as broadly that we have to discuss things, and that's what I'm worried about.
Well, I think that's why we need to have a private council member and someone from TAG, maybe a resident who's a transportation expert.
Just so you know, again, I serve on traffic council, but I can't do it because I'm a city councilor. I said
Right.
no city councilor, so I'm out.
David Kositz would be a great resource.
David Kostis is a great resource for parking and transportation in Newton. I'm hesitant right now putting city staff on a working group, considering that they don't report to us; they report to.
we've talked about city staff supporting this process.
Yeah.
And my guess is that he would be valuable for them to talk to and say, no, that's a bad idea, or it's a bad direction, or go over here. I don't know that he has to be a member of this group.
Also, again,
that.
they don't report to us, so I can't just say, for example, David Kostis or Ned Codd, you have to be on this. That's something I would have to, that's something that has to go to their supervisor, which is our commissioner. So I just can't commit to that right now.
So I think that this memo could be partitioned. One could just be, this is what we've decided on, and then there could be a page preamble, which is, these are the factors we considered. These are why we didn't consider them, didn't put them on here because we want to accomplish this, and maybe that accomplishes the goal of sort of putting together what, what the thought process was, how, without sort of putting necessarily taking the council. You know what I mean? Which is, you can just write another page.
Oh, thank you.
Who is the resident in traffic council?
It's Mitch Fishman, and
Would he be a good resource?
he would be. Of course, I have to email him and ask.
Oh, no, I know,
Yeah, but
just in the possible.
yeah, and I don't know what his, I don't know what his opinion is on the overnight parking ban. So I'm just putting it out there
So he might be
right now. Agree, yeah, and I don't know who the alternate is. Because there is an alternate, I don't know who it is, but I can look that up easily. It's on the webpage. Okay. So former working group. There should be residents on there. I have at least two. Someone from TAG. That was your idea. Is there like a list of people who are on TAG? I can only think of one person.
But if you, I think we could ask Michael and he'll tell you. Good.
Yeah.
I'll send him an email tonight.
Or if he wants to do it.
Yeah, well, I would, yeah, well, I'll send him an email tonight. So I think we are no on a current city councilor. So, but someone from TAG, someone from traffic council, at least two residents. Is there a max number of people?
How do we go about finding them or?
I would contact them and ask them if they want to be on. But that's why I'm getting recommendations. For example, you said TAG and traffic council.
But the residents.
You should ask them yeses, even if the two of them don't want to do it, who has been active.
Yeah.
I would say 5 to 7. 7 seems, more than 7 seems like.
Yeah,
too
no more
much.
than 8.
And less than 5 seems like.
Someone's not gonna be there or not be able to do it. You know, it's get 8 and probably.
Okay, wait, hold on. I only have one pen. So, ask yes campaign for people. Sean, you said that. What did you say? I'm sorry.
I was just saying 5.
Oh, 5 to 7 people.
Yeah.
I would say no more than 8.
Correct. I would agree, yeah.
That's what I had in the back of my head.
Do you want to tell, Captain Devane, he doesn't have to be here anymore?
Oh, he wanted to be here.
Okay.
You were walking out. I asked him if he wants to stay for a parking ban discussion. There he is. Oh, he's back.
Do we want anyone from?
It's the same thing.
Yeah,
City employee.
Yeah, it's supported, I feel like. The input, but again, might be supported. but-
Yeah, support, yeah. Traffic council, just post this in COD, they're.
Well, they're under the DPW.
They are DPW,
Yeah,
and those would be the people. 5 to 7, or no more than 8. Perhaps someone from TAG, traffic council, residents, ask people from the yes and no campaign.
I think this committee should be your appointment.
Working group.
This working group should be the chair's responsibility to make the appointments. You're getting guidance from
Yeah.
us about size and, experience and all the rest, and which is good. I mean, I don't disagree with any of those things, but I don't think that we should vote on each individual person.
No, of course not, no. I just wanted to get a sense of the committee.
Yeah,
So again, let me just start over. 5 to 7 people, perhaps someone from TAG, traffic council, at least 2 residents, and ask the yes and no campaign for people that they would recommend to represent the residents on the working group.
Now, are you gonna try to find maybe another resident in traffic?
Again, I would reach out to traffic council.
Like Howard Rosenhoff.
Yeah, I know. I'll reach out to traffic council, TAG, and yes and no campaign. They would, again, 5 to 7 people.
And do we have a goal when this would be
Timeline.
made?
I don't want to give them anything solid, but if we work backwards,
Yeah.
December 1st, it has to be on the books. And I think, there's a 20-day waiting period. Danielle, is that
Yes.
right? So it needs to be voted on by the council at the latest at our first meeting in November. And we have to, it could be Charlie. So it has to go to the full council in October, the last meeting in October, which means we need to vote it out by our first meeting in October. See how, and then September, there would need to be a public hearing. And then, we would need to give the public hearing some information, so we need to have some good framework by August,
Yeah,
and it's April. So, yeah, I know.
yeah.
So that's why, the more we talk now, the less, no, I'm kidding. It's a joke, it's a joke.
So if we could, if you could come up with a tentative group by next meeting, we can vote on it and get them going.
No, I think,
I think Randy.
No.
Just
Like,
delegate to
delegate.
Councilor Lucas.
yeah,
Oh, no, but have, or whatever, if we vote it, but have it ready by next meeting.
the working group,
Approve.
well, it wouldn't be approval, it would just that they would be established.
That's what
Yeah.
I said.
Yeah, or appointed, yeah.
Yeah.
Just so you know, our next meeting is gonna, well, not counting the 15th, that's separate, for the public hearing for the, ICE item. But our next meeting is gonna be the 29th. And we have a traffic council appeal, that meeting, so I don't wanna discuss anymore.
Is that April vacation stuff is just pushing out a week? for
Yeah,
everybody?
we have nothing the week of April 20th. There's nothing that week because of school vacation, which I'm not taking a vacation, so I'll be here. So are we good on the working group, and are we good on the goals and factors and framework? Any other questions?
That's 4 questions. Yes, 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 and yes.
I'm sorry?
You asked 4 questions. I said yes 4 times.
Thank you. All right.
May I just ask,
Yeah.
just the timeline, so once you choose the members and it's formed, do they come to us, we meet them, or do you just put them in a way to start working?
I would put them on their way. I would give them the factors and the goals. And yeah, we could always bring them in for a checkup in, May's tough because it's the budget, but perhaps May, or if we have a meeting in May or June. Again, I don't wanna, because May is budget time, so.
And then we'd give them a timeline.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
their recommendations
Yeah.
to us.
Yes, so that way we can come up with something solid.
Your backwards calculations brought you to August.
I was just in August, where we need to have something solid.
But
by August.
we'll wanna chew on what they.
Oh, of course, yeah, and they could come back in June or July.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that was your July 1st, which was sort of instinctive, but I think
Yeah.
that really.
I mean, yes, as Council Roach said, tick, tick, tick.
Yeah.
There's not that much time when you do
No,
it,
there is,
when you do it reverse.
the sun is very quiet.
I know, but I'm not going anymore.
How do you establish the timeline? Do they meet like once a week? Is that your guide?
They're a working group, so they can,
Whatever.
yeah,
They can-
yeah,
that's up to them.
yeah. They can meet at, they can meet at a coffee shop, they could meet at this conference room at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday or wherever. I mean, I don't know, wherever.
So as long as they're given sort of the
Yeah.
timeline, they, whenever, they
Mhm.
just suck it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Not flexible.
15 is, I mean,
Motion to adjourn.
Do
Nope.
we have to vote on this?
Nope. Wrong motion, Sean. Oh, sorry.
Shoot.
Council Roach, that was the wrong motion. We need a motion to hold.
Motion to hold.
Okay, Council Roach has made a motion to hold. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Okay, opposed, abstentions, ayes have it. Item is held. Council Roach,
Motion to adjourn.
approved. We are adjourned at 9:22.